Today we're digging back into the depth chart, specifically the running backs room. Let's Talk Lions. Welcome back to an all-new episode here at Let's Talk Lions. Thank you for liking this video and for subbing to the channel. I was away earlier this week over the weekend. My wife and I went camping up at Sleeping Bear Dunes. It was a blast. Love camping, love Sleeping Bear. Also, the song Sleeping Bear Dunes by Sufjan Stevens. Solid. Can't go wrong there. Gotta blast that while you're driving along the way. It's a good move, but really, when is Sufjan not a good move? Today we're getting back into the depth chart. I wanted to stay on the offensive side of the ball, stay on that pattern. So I want to break down the running backs room. At RB1, we have DeAndre Swift. At RB2, we've got Jamaal Williams. And at RB3, we got Jermar Jefferson. I don't know about you, but I am amped on our running backs room. I know a lot of people might look and say, well, it's young. It's a young running backs room. You got DeAndre Swift coming off his rookie year, going into that sophomore year. You've got Jermar Jefferson, who you drafted this year, and then Jamaal Williams, who's been playing since 2017. So only 4 years in. A lot of people will look at that and say, well, it's young. Well, to me, I see so much potential. I see the potential of that youthfulness, but I also see the potential for each one of these guys' capacity load for carrying. Let's begin with Swift. Last year was his rookie year, and the number one thing that I saw in DeAndre Swift that I loved was his fire. The fire, the competitive nature, the passion that that young man brought to the table. While the organization itself was failing, you never saw DeAndre Swift give up, ever. In fact, even when he had that concussion for that 2-3 game stretch, all he wanted to do was get back out there and give it his all. Meanwhile, Bevel was like, okay, man, we got to slowly work you back in. You had a concussion. Didn't matter. DeAndre Swift wanted it. Even with the Lions being terrible last season, being leadershipless, being nothing. Swift has a different type of fire to him. I'm watching him bulldoze guys bigger than him, and then he gets up and is in their face. Not saying anything, but giving them that look with that dark visor. And you're just like, man, this guy wants to win. Swift also showed a ton of character last season after our home opener, after our season opener, where he dropped the ball against Chicago. I know you don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. He doesn't want to think about it. But here's the thing. Swift could have easily hung his head, walked out shamefully, and then not progressed at all last season. Well, he did the opposite. He learned from it. He grew from it. And that fire only grew brighter. DeAndre Swift had that breakout game against Jacksonville last year. He had 14 attempts for 116 yards. He put up 8.3 yards a carry with 2 TDs. That game, we got a glimpse as to what the future could look like with DeAndre Swift as RB1. We just saw a ton of growth from him gameplay-wise, but also that passion, that ferocity is beautiful. And now, with the addition of Penei Sewell and this O-line being stacked, it's going to create a lot more room for DeAndre Swift to work, for Jamaal Williams to work, for each one of our running backs to make it through, to add yardage up front. All in all, we saw a ton of growth in DeAndre Swift in his rookie season, in a year where, well, the world was ravaged by a pandemic, and DeAndre Swift really showed the bright future that he has here in Detroit. Next up, we got Jamaal Williams. This is my favorite move that the Detroit Lions made during free agency. Snagging Jamaal Williams from under the nose of Green Bay is huge for Detroit. It's huge for DeAndre Swift to have this running back too, because coming up to this point, we were all expecting Swift to have to be a 3-down back. Well, now you get a guy like Williams with his stats, with what he's done, with his experience, and you can actually split the reps between the two, and Jamaal Williams will help carry that load. I think Williams is underrated, like a strawberry milkshake. Everybody's like, give me vanilla, give me chocolate, vanilla, chocolate. What about strawberry? And I understand a bad strawberry milkshake could deter you from ever getting another one, but a good one could just be the redemption for them all. I actually had a strawberry milkshake for the first time last night in about a decade. no regrets. I was feeling reckless. Williams has been with Green Bay since 2017. In that time, his amount of rushing attempts has actually decreased. However, the amount of yardage that he's getting per year each season has actually stayed even. It stayed consistent. His yards per carry has gone up as well. Let's look at his rushing stats from 2020. You're looking at 119 attempts, 505 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, and 2 TDs. But a huge element of Williams' game is the receiving portion. Look at his 2020 stats. He went 31 for 35. He put up 236 yards, and you're looking at 7.6 yards per reception. But to me, the most fascinating thing of it all is in his 4 years with Green Bay, all season long, he has not fumbled the ball once. Insert dramatic pause here. Was that long enough? Not once. That's incredible. I think Williams is going to drastically enhance Goff's gameplay, Swift's gameplay, and the mentality of the locker room. He is infectious. If that guy just told me, hey man, I need you to go forge that river, I'd do it. Maybe not well, but I would do it nonetheless. Chuck the wagon and move across that river. Try not to die of dysentery, just like the Oregon Trail. Speaking of Oregon, Jermar Jefferson. Boy, did that line up. We selected Jefferson in the 7th round this year, 257 overall, I do believe. He has a huge chip on his shoulder as he was projected to go in the 4th round, roughly. You can tell that that's really driving him right now. I think Jefferson is a solid RB3 with a high ceiling. Let's look at his college career stats overall. He put up 2,923 yards total. He averaged at 5.7 yards a carry. He has shown some serious explosiveness coming out of the back, and he has had a total of 43 receptions. There's lots of potential for passing plays coming from Goff to him. That's something that I love to see. All in all, I love this backfield. I haven't been this excited for a running back room here in Detroit in ever really, since Barry Sanders. There's a reason why I only wear a Barry Sanders jersey when it comes to repping our running backs here in Detroit. We really haven't had anybody else. And so looking at these 3 guys, there's a ton of potential, high ceilings, and I think a lot can be done here. I'm excited to have Anthony Lynn as our OC, seeing the development, Deuce Staley as well, watching these guys develop our running backs, developing DeAndre Swift coming into his 2nd year, working with Jamaal Williams and what he already brings to the table, and also developing Jermar Jefferson. I'm excited for this running backs room. Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of growth that needs to happen as it is younger. However, I really do believe that the potential, the ceiling is high, and with our leadership, with our coaching specifically in the running backs room, it's going to make an immediate impact. How do you feel about the running backs room here in Detroit? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And as always, I look forward to catching you next time on Let's Talk Lions.